the recording again too. And let me show you my screen. All right. 15th time. What the heck? I guess. Holy, you were my good luck charm. Where were you? You can never be late again. Are you broke? Okay. Never ever be late again. Okay. All right. Well, that was awkward. Here we go from the top. So I love starting out in the sample project because Revit is really, I think, different than anything you've used or done before. So in this class, I always make the assumption that you guys have at least done a hand drawing. If you haven't, you don't have to raise your hand or anything, but really quickly in your brain, imagine drawing a hand drawing. It's like this, right? So there, you've done a hand drawing before. I also think that some of you guys have done AutoCAD, and I think last week at least maybe 2/3 of you had, something like that. Remember, it won't help you, but I do refer back to hand drafting and AutoCAD quite a bit. Now, the interesting thing about comparing Revit, hand drafting, and AutoCAD is that in essence they are all doing the same thing. They are creating a set of construction drawings. And as designers, architects, interior designers, our construction documents are really what's referred to as our tools of the trade. So that's the commodity that we have to actually sell our clients. It really isn't our talent, our charm, our expertise. It's the drawings that we're creating in these programs because these specify to our contractor how to build it. It shows our client what's going to be built, so they are really our tools of the trade. With Revit though, I find it to be so much more intuitive because when we are hand drafting or when we are doing AutoCAD, when you're drawing a wall, it ends up looking something like this. When you're drawing a wall in plan, it looks like this, right? And these are just lines on a piece of paper, on a computer, on a whiteboard, whatever it is. They're really just lines. And outside of this plan view, do those exist anywhere else? Do we get exterior elevations or anything out of that? Okay, so with BIM, this is a review of what we went over last week. So BIM is Building Information Modeling. And so when we are drawing a wall, although we might be working in plan view, our BIM program, in this case Revit, knows that when you're drawing a wall, there's physical structure to it. So for example, this wall right here, the thing that's funny about working in plan is how many of you guys have ever been in a hovercraft looking down at a building with its roof chopped off? Anybody? Not me, in my dreams. So it's kind of a weird way to work. We're looking at a building in this way that we typically don't see it. I mean, it's fun. Who was it that did floor plans when they were like little? Was that you? Okay, so you started way ahead of me. You know, a lot of times when we first see plans, it's like, what is this? You know, like, what's that weird little toilet thing? Some people can recognize the symbols immediately, some people can't. But it's another thing that we have to learn. But again, when you're working with a BIM, you're not just working in this view. When you draw a wall, Revit knows automatically, whether you tell it or not, that walls have height and they have structure. So it gives you some default stuff. So by default, I think Revit always draws a 20-foot tall wall, and it's either a 6 or an 8-inch generic wall. Because no matter what, if you're drawing a wall, it has to have height and it has to have structure. As we go through this semester, we will start thinking about and defining the heights, the structures, the levels, those types of things. In fact, when we come into class on Thursday, we'll really start breaking it down. Today will be an intro of how all of that works together. So today is really a crash course, and we definitely started with a giant crash today. But what we're going to do today, just to give you an overview, I'm going to show you how to design this tiny little house in Revit. It's going to go over a lot of the fundamentals so you see how Revit works. Because in the past, you might be used to working on your floor plan and then moving on to an elevation and then an interior elevation. Whereas in Revit, you're really doing it all at once without even having to think about it. So it's really a different approach. Before we get into that, again, the sample project is a great way to show you how Revit is set up before we do it on our own. So by default, when you are looking at your Revit screen, you typically aren't in a sheet. Do you guys see right here that this project opened in the title sheet? Right? So if you are in AutoCAD, this is the same thing as looking as paper space or a viewport. Okay? If that doesn't mean anything to you, it doesn't matter because it doesn't pertain to this class. Where I'd like you guys to meet me is down here in what's called the project browser. Do you guys see at the bottom left, project browser? The very top, you should see floor plans and then level 1. You guys see that where I'm pointing? Okay. So double click on that and it'll take you to level 1. And this is a pretty fancy rendered floor plan, but this is your typical screen that you'll be working with in Revit. So I'm going to break down what you're looking at here. So up here at the top, we have our ribbon. And we spend a lot of time just working right in the ribbon. So there's not a lot of shortcuts. Every command is essentially a 2-letter keyboard shortcut, and I'll give it to you with everything. But this is one of the programs where I don't mind if you do everything in the ribbon. The ribbon is dynamic, so I'm going to click on wall. And as soon as I do you guys see that my ribbon changed in order to accommodate me drawing a wall? And that's pretty common with everything, whether it's a window, a wall, anything like that. Now, to get out of this, or anything, you hit escape. In my classes, I like to refer to the escape key as the oh crap key. So if any program at any point is not doing what you want it to do, you feel lost, just keep hitting escape, okay? The other thing about the ribbon is by default, we are set to be in the architecture panel tab. So, sorry, do you guys see this tab right here? If I click on collaborate, it looks different. You know, you can click around here. Sometimes you click on something accidentally. You might lean over your mouse, whatever. Do you guys remember how to come back home to the screen you're used to? Almost. So up here, so escape, it's not doing anything yet, but if you wanted your ribbon to look familiar, typically not annotate. Where do we usually work out of? Okay, so again, if your screen looks different than what you're used to, first go ahead and, hit escape. And if you're still not where you want to go, just click on over to architecture. So just know that it's okay to click around the tabs because eventually we will be annotating, which includes, dimensions, text, things like that, adding tags. And we will also be going into the view menu. So it's okay to kind of jump around these menus. But when you're first starting off, if you don't know where you're going, you want to go back here to the architecture panel, okay? The other thing that I want you guys to know, so first again, this is called the ribbon menu. Just about everything we do is up here in the ribbon. And just so you guys know, I will more than likely be asking you about these components in your questions this week. So the first one is the ribbon. The second one is the properties menu right here. And the properties menu by default, if you're not doing anything, it tells you the properties of the view that you're in. So right now it says that I'm in a floor plan, okay, and it gives me lots of other information that we'll go over later. But when I click on something, so I'm going to click on this little chair, now it's giving me the properties of that chair. To deselect anything, you hit escape. Okay, so escape does a lot for us here. I'm going to go back to my sheet view that we started in. Do you see that when I go to my title sheet, my properties adjusts to not be a floor plan, but to be a sheet now? Okay, so properties does two things. By default, it's just telling you what view you're in. Okay, and then the second thing that it does is if you click on any kind of an object, it tells you what you've clicked on and any properties that might go with it. So do you guys see that this window tag does not have a lot of properties? Right? There's like 3 things after the window. So this is what I've clicked on. But if I click on something like a wall, it's got a lot of properties to the wall. Okay? So that's your properties menu. And then we also have our project browser. So our project browser is really important because what it does is it allows us to jump around the different views that we've created. So we've got renderings compiled in here, we've got sheets, floor plans. When we start off, we will mostly be in plan, elevation, and section. I think that that's most common. And then eventually we'll get into interior elevations. But essentially anywhere you want to go in the project, it will be in your project browser. Okay. Here is a quick little tidbit of advice I want you guys to remember. I'm always mixed up with people taking notes in class, because if it helps you, take notes. But sometimes if you're taking notes while I'm talking, then I'm afraid I'm going to lose you. But there will be times where I say, everybody write this down. This is, or at least remember, store it up in here. So this is one of those moments where I want you to store it. But you might be working at home and lose your properties menu and your project browser, right? It just happens. You are trying to click on something else. So to get it back, I'd like everybody right now, go to your view menu. Okay. And then while you are in your view menu, do you see down at the far right, there's something called user interface? Okay, click on that for me. And the 2 things that I just closed, so you guys will see them, but I won't. Project browser. Okay, and then the other one is properties. So that's always good to know, because so much of what we do is in the project browser and properties bar that without those you may as well be without your draw screen. Okay, so from the top, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to get out of there. What ribbon menu did I go to first? Good. I went under view, and then from there, where did I go? Good. And then from here? Either one of those. Project browser and properties. Okay, those are the 2 main ones to have, and I can almost guarantee that at one point this semester you will close either one of those on accident. Okay. All right. So while we're here, let's go ahead, and I like to start off by looking at some of the renderings that they have. So let's go ahead and look at, let me find a good one. Let's look at the kitchen first. Okay, this is kind of an inside-outside view. And the reason why I like to start here is first, let's take a look at the plan. Do you guys see this table right here? And it's got a bottle, cups, plates, right? We've got our fancy island right here. We've got a refrigerator and our stacked ovens there. Now let's even look here. Do you guys see this kind of fancy retro fireplace in the living room? You can see the living room. We can see some chairs and sofas through here. Let's do this. Now that we've kind of observed the, oh, and check out this giant concrete column. Remember that too? Let's go back to our second level plan. Oh wait, sorry, I lied. First level plan. And let's look at those things. Do you see our chimney right here? So if I click on that, sorry, fireplace hanging. Got it? And let me warn you guys, if you double click on the fireplace, this might happen. Do you guys see that? So you don't necessarily want to be here. This is editing the fireplace. Go ahead and X out of that, okay? And then when it says save changes, just say no. So if you just want to select an item to look at its properties, just click on it once. You don't need to double click. Okay, and then let's go back into the kitchen. We've got a plate, we've got those little cups, and then this little dot right here, Under specialty equipment, wine bottles. Wow, there's a nice spec for you to write. And this right here, that might look like an area rug to you, but it's actually that giant concrete column that we saw. Here, let's be brave. Let's grab this chair. Let's click on it and hit delete. Let's grab the plate and hit delete. Let's delete the wine bottle and that cup. So I'm just clicking and hitting the delete key. Is that working okay for you guys? No? Heather, what is it letting you click?
A little grid arrow thing going over everything.
A grid? Did escape help? Let me look at your screen, Heather. One sec.
Yeah, there we go. You might really go in though. Yeah, you might want to zoom in. You're kind of hovering your mouse over it and zoom in.
Heather, what's your last name? Is it Summer?
It's rolling.
Let me...
Oh, good job.
I don't know, I can't see you on my list. Okay, you got it though? Okay, so the reason why I wanted you guys to delete a few things is now we're gonna go back to that kitchen rendering. Oh, this is a picture. I'm so embarrassed, sorry. So this is an actual JPEG. Hello, Naima. Let me go to, I have some camera views. Let's go to the 3D kitchen view. So right underneath the floor plan, you should be able to see 3D views and then kitchen. Do you see that it's gone from there? Okay. You could even be completely crazy in the 3D view. Grab this column or anything else and delete it. And if we go back to level 1, that column is gone, or whatever you delete. So the point that I'm really trying to drive home here is that in BIM modeling, everything's connected. Even though in your project browser, they're all listed separately, it's using one model, one actual, it's not a physical model, but it's a digital physical model of the home, full scale, and it's using that to generate floor plans, renderings, sections, 3D views, interior elevations, exterior elevations. It's all coming from that same model. Everything's connected. So sometimes people will look at a floor plan and think, ah, I'm gonna delete X from here. And you just have to know that when you delete or change X from one view, it's in the whole model. So now when you start designing, don't think of it as you being in a hovercraft looking from above. Think about really standing in the space, turning in the space, walking in the space. I'm so excited to see where BIM modeling is going, especially now with 3D technology, because I have a feeling that one day, maybe even when my son grows up and he decides to be a teacher, I wouldn't be surprised if he stands in a room and just starts sketching like this and the room starts to generate. We can already put on VR goggles and kind of paint. It doesn't make sense. But I think that that technology will help us really create a space around us one day. And I really think that BIM modeling and the 3D technology are moving together. So what you guys can do right now, poke around in the model for a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we are going to go ahead and start building this one right here. I'm gonna give you guys some information. But take a peek at what's possible. Take a look at the different views. Okay. Okay. And I think that's good. I hear a lot of double clicks, so I really only let you look for a couple seconds, but here's what I wanted you guys to click around. Do you guys see at the top of your screen right here, all of these different windows that are open? So even though it's all from the same BIM model, Revit keeps them all open for you. Here in the lab, our computers have no trouble keeping all of these views open. If you're at home or on a laptop, you might find that your graphic card is like, I cannot keep up with this, and things start to slow down. So what you can do is up here at the top of your screen, there is this tiny button. Do you see that it looks like it has like 4 little windows, some of them are grayed out, and then there's an X? What that does, so right now my active window is level 1. That's the one that I'm clicked on. Everything else Revit considers inactive because I haven't clicked on it. So if you click on close inactive windows, it closes everything out quickly. I wish that my iPhone had that because I have like 50 million apps open and I have to sit there and swipe, 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 or no, it's like this, I think, whatever it is. So again, it's this inactive window. And do you guys see now that I've closed it, I don't have the option to close inactive windows because they're gone? Do you guys see that? Okay. The other thing that I want you guys to do next, quick question, is everybody at level, let's start here. Go to level 1, meet me at level 1, and then close all other inactive windows, okay? That's where we'll start. Right? After you go to level 1, I also want you to open up your north elevation. So double click on the north elevation. Okay, and then after you open up your north elevation, let's also open up, do you see how in 3D views there's this generic 3D one at the bottom in brackets? This 3D view exists in every model. So it's just a couple up from where I am. Open that one too. So now hopefully you have 1, 2, 3 views. If you have a couple extra, just hit this little X and I won't tell anybody you had extra. Okay? And the reason why I like to have these open is that, remember, BIM modeling is going to be different than anything that you've ever done before. And so what I like to do is hit, see, my brain just does it without thinking. I think you hit WT. It stands for Windows Tile. So did that work for you guys? Okay. So WT, again, it stands for Windows Tile. I always suggest that you get out of the habit of just working in floor plan. So again, while you're building, look at your floor plan, see the elevation being generated, and then look at it populating in 3D. Right now, my north view is the biggest screen. Is that the same with you guys? It could be a little bit different. Okay. I want to get my floor plan where this is. So the way that you toggle is I click in the view and then I hit WT and see how it moved. I click back in that screen, WT, and then everything cycles. So it's a click and then a WT, a click and then a WT, and then eventually, hopefully you'll get the plan that you want in the larger view. So again, I like most of my real estate to be in the floor plan view. And again, the reason why I really like this is, let me zoom in a little bit. So on this first level, do you see how I can see my kitchen island? When I select it in my first level, do you see that it also shows up in my 3D view, at least the view that I'm in? Okay, I don't know if I can see it from here. I don't think there's anything that I can see in all 3D views, but just bear with me. So if I hit delete, again, there's that example of what you do in one view will affect all the others. And for me personally, again, I like to always work in at least 2 different views, whether it's floor plan and 3D, 3D and section, whatever it is. But I really like to see how it's working. So quick thing, what was the shortcut that you used so that all of your windows tiled? WT, okay, good. And then if you want to close them, if you're done with that, you can just hit these little X's here and those will shut down, okay? So when you hit those X's, you're not closing the project, you're just closing the different like project browser windows. Got it? Okay, so with that, I'm gonna close out of this one, save changes, no, and we're gonna come back to this screen right here. That was like our quick run around of what Revit looks like. Now, while you guys are closing down, we are about to jump into doing one of our first projects. So really today is a crash course into Revit, and it can be overwhelming just because I'm going to show you so much stuff at once. But I want you guys to remember it's really supposed to be fun, not overwhelming. I want to give you guys a quick overview of what Revit is capable of doing. So it would be unfair if we looked at a sample project that somebody probably invested at least like 18 months in and then started. So I'm going to show you what you can realistically do within like an hour or two. If I lose you at any point, throw up your hand, I will come help you. If you tap out, that's fine too, because remember, everything that we learned today, we're going to break down over the course of like the next several weeks. So we're going exponentially fast today, and then we're going to go the backwards at that. So I have to tell you guys a couple stories before we get started as a way of trying to inspire you. So the thing that I have to recognize is whenever you guys start a new program, whether it's Revit, Photoshop, whatever it is, it's kind of like learning a new language. It's a whole new interface. You don't necessarily know where you are, and it might be a little bit awkward at first. But what I always like to tell my students is that when we're learning a new program together, I know I'm an old lady, but bear with me, and pretend that I'm 9 years old, that we're all like second, third grade, right? And it's summertime. And the reason why I always love this is because in like the summer of about 1988, my parents bought me a Nintendo, and this is way before screen time was monitored. So it was like me, the Nintendo, the basement, and I did not see the light of day. And the reason why I bring this up is if you guys have ever played like Super Mario before, I know this is like ancient now, but when I first got that Nintendo and I was trying to make Mario move, I was like, move, and then I was like, jump. And he wasn't doing what I wanted him to do, and it was really hard, and I was like this. But because, again, no screen limitation, within, I would say, a month, and even to this day, I can sit here and play Nintendo, I can play the music, and I don't even have to think about it. Like, it's muscle memory at this point. The point of what I'm trying to get at is when we first start with Revit, it's going to be a little bit awkward. You're going to be like trying to make Mario jump or trying to make a wall move. And it's going to be awkward, but the only way that you're going to get better is to really spend time with it. And I think it will be harder for you to spend time with it if you look at it like a job or a chore. But really, this should be fun for you guys. You are here in interior design and architecture for a reason. You want to build something. In a lot of my intro classes, people are like, oh, I love playing Sims and building things, or I love playing this or that. Please look at Revit. That's like a game that's going to make you a lot of money one day. So this is such a good tool to have. And really the way that you're going to get there is just keep practicing and practicing until it becomes intuitive. And before you know it, your brain won't even think about wall or window tile. It will just do it for you, and you get to be a designer. So over these next few weeks, I'm going to kind of keep an eye on you because, like I said, today will be fast, but then we're going to slow down. But within 2 or 3 weeks, I don't want to see you struggling with trying to like move your mouse or do keyboard shortcuts. Work enough with it to where you just, you become Mario, you save the princess by the end of the semester. So that's what the plan is. We are a 3-credit-hour class, and we meet twice a week. So that means that you are supposed to have between 6 and 9 hours of homework or experience outside of this class. You guys are adults. You can kind of self-monitor to see if you might need more or less than that. But just remember to dedicate about that much time, and you guys will be successful. And I hope you guys have fun with it. So with that, like I said, let's pretend we're in 3rd grade. We've got nothing to lose, and it's going to be a fun summer. All right? Okay. So now let's reset our brains, and now we are going to be starting a new project. So this process that we are about to start, we are going to go over in depth today, Thursday, and also next week. But then after that, you're kind of on your own to just recall it. So these next few steps will be pretty important. So this is Revit Start Screen, and this is typically where you start a new project. So you can see that from here, eventually, once you start saving your own work, it might populate here, or most often, we will be going and building a new model. We won't be talking about families very much in this class, but it will come up later in the semester. But for now, we're focusing on models. And again, we don't have anything to open yet, so we want to go to new. Okay? And the first thing that comes up is, what template do you want to work with? So in this class, by default, we work with an architectural template. So if you pull down, you should see architectural. And one thing that drives me crazy is that if you hit browse, it will pull up new templates for you. So again, I'm going to X out of there. This pull down menu shows you 4 options. We only use one, which is architectural. But if you hit browse, do you see that there's also a residential template? We use the residential template quite a bit in this class. We do a commercial project too. But the thing about templates is it has many things built into them. Wall types, furniture, even text types. And so all of these things you can download and pull into a template. But if you know you're doing a residence, you can open that and see everything that's built in. Or if you know you're doing something that's more bare bones, you can do architectural. So I'm going to hit cancel. Let's open up the architectural template and see what it has built in. And then we'll open up the residential template to compare. So go ahead and just click on architectural and then OK. Now, does this screen look familiar? Somewhat? It's a blank screen, so where did we start off? What are we looking at right now? What view is this? Level 1. So this is a floor plan, and you can find that out by either looking at this tab right here or looking in your project browser. Floor plan level 1. So there's really not a lot here. Now, do you see under sheets, whereas before we had several sheets, we started in a sheet? Does this have any sheets built for us or paper space views? No, really bare bones, right? Go ahead and type in WA or click on wall for me. Okay, so WA or wall. So by default, when we go to WA, what type of a wall does it want to draw? A basic wall, 8 inches. Yep. And remember, for my Revit people, is it WA enter? No. If you ever hit enter, hit escape and then re-put it in. Okay? So it's a basic, generic 8-inch wall, and when we pull down, scroll through and get an idea of what types of walls they are. Exterior brick and CMU, exterior CMU insulated, generic, generic, generic interior, retaining.
How do you get that search menu?
Sure. So right now, type in WA, and then do you see basic wall generic 8 inches right here?
Oh, the down arrow.
Yep. So if you click on that, you can go through and change what menu or what wall type you're going to do. Okay. So these are 2 things I just want you guys to notice. So first, in an architectural template, it doesn't have any default sheets built in. It has level 1 and level 2, and it's got some wall types in there as well. So a lot of exterior with CMU and brick. Okay. There will be other differences. Yeah.
What's CMU?
It's concrete masonry unit. I think a lot of people call it cinder block. Yep. So, and now what I'm going to do, let's close out of this architectural template entirely. So that was really quick. You can use these tabs right here to close out. Do you want to save projects, save changes? You can just go ahead and put no. The other thing you can do is you can go up to File and hit Close. So hopefully those are pretty familiar to you. I think most programs use that same interface. Okay, and now we're back to this menu here. Everybody okay? Am I too fast, too slow, or right where I need to be? Okay, so now let's go ahead and go back to New. And then this time, let's take a look at the residential default. So remember, I got here by clicking on Browse, Residential Default, and then Open. I'm gonna let you guys have just about a minute, not very long. Take a peek around, poke around in the file, whether it's the browser, the wall types, see what's here versus what we just saw. Okay. Give me some observations. What do you guys see with floor plans? Are there more or less? Way more, right? Before I think we had first level and second level. Now we've got first floor, second floor, electrical, framing, foundation. We've got a lot more defaults there because Revit is trying to help us. It's like, okay, if you're doing a house, I think you want these. So it builds in a lot more for us. What about sheets? Does it have any sheets at first glance? Does it look like there's any here? What do we need to do to see the sheets? Do you see that plus sign? So our last project, the architectural template, didn't have that plus sign. This one does, and oh my, is it trying to be helpful. Go ahead and click on the first floor plan, and you can see that it's even got a title block waiting for us as well. Heather, is it not being nice? You are not being slow. You are just where you need to be. Give it time. You have been working with Revit for approximately 36 minutes. Come on, Heather, get on it. It's really been 36 minutes because the first part of my lecture crashed, so this has all been Revit. Okay, so you're right where you need to be. And I get a little excited. You know how when you're familiar with the language, you can talk really fast? So I speak Revit, and I'm so excited to teach you guys, so yell at me when I need to slow down. But there's more in here for us for the residential project. And depending on the project that we're working on or working in, we'll be using different templates. For today, I would like to use this residential template, and I'd like you guys to set up your screen so we can design this nice little house that most of us look at when we're little, okay? Crash course, here we go. So I would like you guys to have the first floor open, your north elevation. I'm sorry, I lied, not your north elevation. Let's do your south elevation. And let's also do your 3D view. So first floor, south, 3D. Once you get those, please tile them for me using the WT shortcut and have your first floor on this right side. Okay. So now that we're starting our project, remember the things that I wanted you guys to think about, I'm repeating it for the recording, are your template. What are you using? What are you designing? And so it's helpful to know if you are going to be using the residential or the architectural. We want to know the wall type or the structure, the levels that you will be creating in this project. Remember, each level gets its own floor plan, so that's what the levels tie into as well. And then we also will be talking about constraints here in just a moment. So I want to get started off on my first floor plan, and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to go ahead and type in WA. Actually, before we do that, before I even draw my walls, let's take a look at our elevation view. Okay, and do you see that it's got all of our levels set up right here? Okay, what have I called my first floor on the board? What is it called? Is it called first floor? It's called main level, right? So here's something, one of the first many cool things about BIM modeling. So just so you guys know, in the elevation view, when you create these levels, it actually creates a corresponding floor plan, okay? And right now, I'm gonna do it really quick and then I want you guys to do it. If I double click or just click on, so the reason why it's like a double click, first you have to activate that elevation line. Click on it one more time and it lets you edit it to main level. The next question is very important. Please listen. Would you like to rename corresponding views? Don't show me this again. Yes. Okay? And now look what happened. What is my floor plan now called over here in the project browser? It's also main level. You could also, there is no limitation on what you can call them. If I call it "This is awesome," look what it's calling it over here. All right, so the two things are always corresponding to one another. And then here in this view, look at what it's called now. This is awesome. That doesn't really help us that much. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this back to main level. Makes a little bit more sense. I mean, it is awesome, but you know. Okay, coming up to the second floor. Is it called the second floor for our project? What is it called? Attic. Okay. So again, click once to activate it, click again to edit it. And I've called it the attic loft. Okay. And then do you guys see that I've drawn a roof? But I haven't shown where it goes. It just says roof. It's up at 18 feet. Okay, so we're gonna change that in just a bit because what I'm showing right now is the top of the roof. Okay, so I'm gonna write top of roof. But what we actually want is a floor plan like this where the roof actually goes. Okay, so if you were to eyeball it, how high does that look up from the 9 feet? Does it look more like 2 feet or 6 feet?
2 feet.
Did you say 2 feet? Okay, good. I would put that at 11 feet. Okay, so let's start our roof at 11 feet. And again, we're just kind of putting this in for now and seeing how it goes. So it's the right name, but it's the wrong number. For everybody here, this is the first number that we're changing. Revit thinks in feet. So if you just type in 11 and put enter, it knows it's 11 feet. So David, you're also taking AutoCAD right now, right? That might be a little tricky for you because in AutoCAD it's the opposite. It thinks in inches. So just remember which one you're working in. Okay, we've got feet in here. So 11, enter, and then we're good to go.
So can you change units here like you can with AutoCAD, or?
You can, but the thing that you'd be, sorry?
It's better just stick with it.
Yeah, so here the only thing that we really changed be tolerances. So whether we go down to like 1/64 of an inch versus 1/16, the only changes that I've really seen people do is maybe change it to metric. But I don't see people working in engineering scale here. Riley?
Yeah, so mine did something kind of weird.
Okay, it'll do many weird things. Let's see how we fix it. What did it do?
So it like so it's like roof, and then it goes like this. I changed it to 11, but yours is straight.
Oh, so yours is at a diagonal?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would do this. If it's not straight anymore, use the buttons Control Z. That means undo. So let me write those on the wall. Our two very good friends today and for the rest of the semester, Escape and Control Z. So I would suggest, just hitting undo until you go back to when it's normal, and then you can try it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine did that too, and it comes up with 2 little blue dots, and the one that's lower, if you drag that back up, it.
Oh, I see. Okay, now that blue dot thing helped me. I will show you exactly what happened to Riley. And Riley, you helped her. Oh, wait, are you both Rileys?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what she was talking about, if you're like down here, for example, do you see how my main level and foundation are kind of on top of one another?
Mm-hmm.
If you click on any one of these lines, do you see this little squiggly? I think it's called a tilde. If you click on that, it adds an elbow, which means that it's dropping it down just to give some breathing room. So again, I was worried that it was like a bit, okay. But that's just an elbow. So that's okay to have if you need it. With our class, I don't mind jumping ahead like that, so. Dave?
So how do you add another level? Like the plan?
So let's see, we didn't add another level. We have the main, second, and roof. Do you have main, second, and roof?
I have main, attic, loft, and roof.
Do you have like foundation, basement, footing, all of these?
I have the foundation, footing,
Okay, so okay, read them to me again starting from the main level. You have main, right?
yeah.
And then above that,
So I got main, attic, loft, and then roof. So we have another roof level we need to add in there.
no, we're not gonna add that one. We're just gonna show where the roof starts. Yep, so but we will later in the semester be adding new levels. It's really simple to do, but we're just gonna use these ones here.
So roof's level, we can,
Mm-hmm, yep. Riley?
Question, does it not like us to use our number pad?
It does, but you have to make sure num lock is on.
Okay, it
So-
wasn't liking it when I was using it. Okay.
What was it doing?
It like would just put a 1 in, but it wouldn't, anyway.
Weird.
It
Hopefully you
was-
don't have a sticky keyboard.
I think it was my numlock wasn't on.
Okay.
Weird.
That's weird. Sometimes, yeah, it won't be on, but just make sure that little, so what Riley's asking is over here on the right of your keyboard, you guys have your keypad. You guys will see in the top left corner, there's a button called Num Lock. And then when you turn that on and off, right above it, there's a little light with the 1. Just make sure that that's on. That's what activates it. If not, it essentially works as arrow keys. Okay, so now we've got our level set. I am definitely like a check mark queen. So I can come here and give it a little check, okay? We've got our level set up. And now we can start drawing some walls. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'm gonna start off by drawing the walls. So watch, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you. And the thing is I will always undo everything I do so you guys get to see it twice. Once just completely immersed in it, and then the second time kind of watching while you're working. So the shortcut is WA, and remember we've decided that we're just going to start off with the basic generic wall because we don't really know what we're building here. So the first thing would be to check our walls, okay? So under wall type structure, so first I have, so I've set the properties for now, just keeping it generic. The thing that I want to do after that is up here we have kind of a sub property menu. Do you see, so it says height, and then right next to it it says unconnected, and then it's saying that it's 20 feet. So what that means, if I pull down on here, it's asking what level is it connected to. So it's saying that these walls that I'm about to draw are unconnected to anything and they're just 20 feet high. Does that sound right to you based on my little sketch up here? Okay, if I'm about to draw these exterior walls, how high do they go? Which one? All the way up to the roof, right? So even though we've got our attic loft level, we know that if it's outside walls, these are gonna go all the way up to the roof. So because I'm drawing my perimeter, I'm sending them up to the roof. And do you see that now I can't put in the height? That's because the roof is controlling, that roof level is controlling where those walls go, okay? And then over here, we've got our location line. Remember I talked about the constraints over here? So when I'm about to start drawing my wall, am I doing finish face exterior or finish face interior based on these numbers? Did I measure the outside or the inside?
Outside.
Outside. So these are exterior. Doing some quick math, I've got 5 feet on this side, plus 3 feet, plus another 5 feet. It's supposed to be symmetrical. So essentially, it's tiny. I've only got 13 feet across. And it's a square, so it's not going to be very big. So I'm going to do finish face exterior. And check my math. I know it might seem like it, but I'm not perfect. So if I ever get something wrong, just yell at me. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change one of my settings real quick to be medium. And the reason why, actually this won't change anything here, but I'm going to go ahead, I clicked, and you see when I drag to the right, it's giving me some numbers. You will get major hand cramps and tendinitis. What's the other one that's really bad? Carpal tunnel. If you try to really slowly snap in, just pull it out as far as you want or pull it in as close as you want, because what we're going to do now is type in 13 for 13 feet, enter. I'm going to drag it the next direction, which is 13, and enter. And then for my next ones, these are great because Revit, AutoCAD's little bigger brother, it gives me these snapping lines, and it tracks to say, hey, you're locked with this. So if I click now, and then come down and click, I made it too big. I can flip it to the other side. See how I did that? Okay, so I was about to make it 13 feet plus whatever, but by hitting the space bar, it toggles what side of the line your wall is being drawn on. Okay, and then when I am done, what do we usually do to get out of something? Escape. So I hit escape once, and see how it's still in the wall menu? It's waiting for me to draw a wall. If I hit escape again, it just resets back. Okay, so if you still wanted to draw walls, stay in the wall menu. If you're done drawing walls, get out of there. But take a look, I've got a little box. Hooray! And then over here, here's what it looks like. It starts on my main level. I know that's really hard to read. It bypasses the attic loft and goes right up to the roof. Okay. Let's try it together now. Okay. So again, I like to have, so over here, well actually I'm gonna save that for just a minute when we get out of generic. So in your main level, what is your shortcut to start drawing a wall? WA, good. And once we start drawing for the first time, this is when we can start thinking about everything. My screen has changed just a little bit, but I'll walk through it with you. What type of wall do we want to draw? Yeah, the generic 6 inch is fine, right? That's kind of what we decided. We'll define it a little bit later. What else do you guys need to change in the submenu? Should the height stay unconnected? No. How high is it going? Yep, we're going up to the roof. Okay, and then this should be grayed out. And then the last thing before we start drawing, what is our location line supposed to be? Good. Finish face exterior. David, question?
So, like, when you selected roof, it says 11 on yours, but mine still says 20.
That's totally fine because that's grayed out. And so because I've already drawn it, it knows that the roof is at 11.
Okay.
And so that's why before I even started drawing, I was like, my screen has reset a little bit, but I'll still walk through it with you.
Okay.
It'll know where to go, I promise. Okay, so finish face exterior. Chain is on and we don't have to worry about anything else. So basically after we set finish face exterior, we're ready to go. When we work in Revit, we always work with finish face, but it could be exterior or interior, but it's typically not any of the center lines, okay? So now you guys can actually start drawing walls. So we click and drag, and do we try to get it exactly to 13 feet with our mouse? It hurts. So just do 13, enter, and then take your mouse and go in the upward direction, 13, enter. Pull it over to the left, get it lined up, and then pull it down. And do you see how on mine it's kind of adding another 6 inches or so? What do I do to flip what side the wall is being drawn on? Spacebar, good. And then close it. When you're done, what do you hit? How many times? Twice, to totally get it out of there.
You just click on those and change the dimensions.
Click on what and change the walls? Eventually, yeah. So that's what we're all gonna check that. That'll be our next thing. So you might be wondering, did I do 13 feet? Is it 13 and a half feet? Is it 14 feet? Where am I?
13, so I just snap things.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys how to check your dimension, but before we do that, everybody look at your south elevation. Have you started on the main level and you go up to your roof? Yeah? Okay, good. All right. Heather, good?
Nope.
Where can I help you?
I don't know what I did.
Okay,
I've got 2 walls.
that's all right. So if you have 2 walls,
Third and the fourth.
okay, so do you mean 2 perpendicular walls like this or like just crazy walls?
No, they're both 13 feet, but I didn't get 3rd and 4th. How
Keep going?
wrap it around.
Okay. So that, if you want to keep drawing, I'm going to delete these. So it's something like this, right? I hope. Do you see my screen?
I'm trying to get my little, okay.
Oh wait, now help me out, Heather. Do you have anything like this? It doesn't matter if it's like
Yeah,
this or over here.
Doesn't matter if my windows are not right. I'm trying to get those back to where it should be.
Oh, like your window tile?
No, that's still not right.
Okay. So here, Heather, do this for me. In your big window, what do you see? So one thing I'm not seeing you do is click. You have to click into your window first and then WT.
Okay, so you see.
Uh-huh.
I just can't get it back in the right window. It's back in the right window, but the other two are flip-flop.
That's okay. No, not at all. That doesn't matter. So whenever you want to keep drawing a wall, just hit WA again and then come back in and start drawing.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm where you are. I have
And
two
can see
walls.
You drag it over, and then you get it so that it's lined up.
Uh-huh.
So I've got a nice little box going. Let go of the mouse, and then what?
So here, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Hit escape for me. Okay, and then let's start drawing a wall again. So look at your screen and make sure it says architecture and wall is not engaged.
Okay.
Got it? Type in WA for me. Okay, and now click to start a wall and drag it over whatever direction.
Okay.
You and I might be drawing different directions. My wall is going up when I want it to go down. So see how when I hit spacebar it flips it? Okay, I'm going to flip it downward. And then I get a blue line that tells me my ending point. And I can just click there.
Which I'm at 16 feet 9 inches.
That's fine. Keep it there. I'm going to show you in just a sec how to finish it. I'm also going to take this and flip it and close it up. And then when I'm done, escape twice. So just give me a square. Do you have a square?
No.
Okay. Continuing off from where we were, we just drew something and we don't know if it's 13 feet, 13 and a half feet, 14 feet, 20 feet, we're not sure. So what I want to do now is show you two ways to put dimensions down on your project, okay? And when I say easy, it's subjective, and you can decide what's best for you. What Revit thinks is easy, I don't think is easy, and I will show you why. When you click on a wall, do you see that a dimension pops up? Okay, so when you click on your top or bottom wall, it also creates a dimension string to tell you where those walls are. This is what's referred to as a quick dimension. Now, these quick dimensions by default, are they finish face exterior or interior? No, they're in the wall center line, right? So that's why I don't think that they're that helpful. You could change them by clicking these dots. That's the edit witness line dot. Okay, now as your instructor, did I get it right? Am I at 13 feet? No, I didn't even get it at 13 feet. I really thought I had, right? So that's one way that you can check. And then the thing that happens is when you click off of this, it goes away. So that's why Revit thinks that these are good, because you can click on a wall, they pop up. I can click down here, this one pops up again, right? And you can quickly see what the dimension is. I could also come here, so take a look at my screen. If I click into this and I know that this is supposed to be 13 feet, 13, enter, and it moves the wall for me. Of course, yeah. So this is on the shortcut one. I'm going to come up here and show it to you from the beginning, because see how this one hasn't been edited at all? So on this one right here, okay, so you want to, do you see these little blue lines right here, or blue dots? When you hover, those are witness lines. Click on one, click on the other, and the thing is if you keep clicking, it'll just move them to the outside, middle, inside, right? So just keep clicking until you get them where you want them to be. Okay. Does anybody need help seeing their witness line? No? Okay. And then after you've moved your witness line, do you see that it has a dimension here for you? click into the dimension and just type in 13, enter. Right? So for the next one, grab either one of your vertical walls. I'm saying they're vertical, they're not really vertical, but the walls in the opposite direction, and I want you guys to try it on your own. Okay? I'll go through it again in just a minute, but just give it a try. You will learn quickly that for the majority of our class time, I'm asking you guys the questions and asking you to explain it to me. Yep.
So like, why is it, if we enter 13 every time, like why is it not, why didn't you just go to 13?
I will explain that in just one sec. So while you were drawing and you put 13 feet, why didn't it go to 13 feet? It has everything to do with how we rounded the corner. Because we're not drawing lines anymore, right? So that first turn, when I turned it, so I drew 13 feet, right? And then when I turned the corner, it added that 6 inches. I didn't flip it in. Yep, that's what's going on. So with this one right here, again, when you have geometry like this, you can click on any one of your walls and the dimension will pop up. If it isn't correct, you can edit your witness lines like this, and I can make that 13 feet. Okay? So that is Revit's easy way of doing dimension checks. But what I like to do, I think it's even easier. There is a shortcut to put on a dimension, and it's DI. Okay? So take a look at my screen really quick. DI. And then here, if you look up at what it's about to put down, do you see that it's about to start measuring from the wall center line? I'm going to pull down and I want to do wall faces. So let me show you, if I kept it at wall center line, do you see that it's looking for the middle of the wall? You see where it's highlighting? But I want it to be wall faces. So now, it still grabs the others, but it's at least giving my faces as the option. And now what I want to do is I want to measure from here to here. See how it found 13 feet? And then my last click is to place this, like that. So let's do that together. Do you guys remember the shortcut? DI, good. And there's no enter, and you can even hit escape a couple times to make sure you're not stuck in another command. But it's DI. And then over here in the sub-properties, so it's getting mad at you guys. Why is it getting mad? Are you guys hitting enter? Let me see. Yep, don't hit enter. I'm hearing a lot of those. I'm afraid you guys might be hitting spacebar when you shouldn't be. So listen, it doesn't like enter. With dimension looks like it will still work. With a lot of commands, if you hit spacebar or enter after, it'll kind of mess up the command.
So that was Z-I?
DI. So DI for dimension, like D-I-M.
Oh, D-I?
DI, uh-huh. So starting over, I'm going to do DI. And I changed it. The default is wall center line, and I pulled down on this menu. I went to wall faces. So click once to start it. You can move wherever. Click again to end it. And then your last one, it's just waiting to see where you want to place it. Okay? So I am going to come around and take a peek to see, and if it's not 13 by 13, here's the thing about Revit. Let's say that we want to make this 15 feet by 15 feet. Everybody with me? Okay. The thing about Revit is you don't click on the dimension to change your wall. You click on the wall you want to change, and do you see how it activated the dimension? Let me do that again. Click on the dimension, nothing happens. I can't change it. Click on the wall, and it's like, okay, what do you want this to be? I want this to be 15, and I want that to be 15. So another way to think about it, if you were physically standing in a square room, what would you push on to make the room bigger? you'd push the wall, right? So you're grabbing the wall and you're moving the wall. That's what we're doing with the dimensions. So I'm gonna pause. So remember, I want you guys to be at 15 feet by 15 feet. We made an executive decision that our little tree house we're building was just slightly too small. All of this a little bit slower. No, we're just getting started. Okay, so 15 to 15, and then the other thing to check for me is are there walls up at the roof? Okay, so again, many of the things Revit does that's really cool is that if we decide that we want to raise our attic loft to be, so with let me come back up to this diagram to make sure it makes sense. So when we are in our space, the floor of the attic loft is at 9 feet right now. And underneath that floor, there's a floor structure that's about 1 foot. So what is our main level ceiling actually at? The ceiling of the main level? 8 feet, right? Because this is at 9 feet, we've got 1 foot of floor, so that means that we're at 8 feet. We decide, you know what? We actually want our main level to have a 9-foot ceiling. Everybody still with me? So where should our attic loft level go up to? 10. Good. So take your attic loft, move it up to 10. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 10. I still need 2 feet between my attic loft and my roof. In fact, I need 3 feet. So what is my new roof level at? Close. So 10 feet. So I'm at 10 feet here at the attic loft, but I need 3 feet between the floor of the attic loft and where the roof starts. 3 feet. Am I saying this right? No. It should just be 13 feet, right? Because I've got this foot is down here. So I've got attic loft, and then I've got 3 feet here. Does that make sense? Yeah? Math is hard in the morning. So we're at 0 here. I've got 1 foot of structure. This is a 9-foot ceiling, which puts us at 10 for the loft. And I need 3 feet of structure before the roof starts. So 13 feet. Are we good? Okay. So what do we need to do to our roof level? Change it from 11 to what? 13. So when I grab my roof level and change it, so here's one other thing. Take a look at my screen. This is so little, but whenever you click on a dimension, it's automatically highlighted for you. You don't need to hit backspace. You don't need to move your mouse. You just type 1, 3, enter. That's it.
So are you double clicking when you do that?
Yes. Well, it's not an official double click. It's 1 click to activate it, 1 click to edit it.
Okay.
Got it? I think sometimes if you double click on the wrong thing, it might take you into another menu.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like that. I'm getting a warning to save the project. Are you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and save this. You can even just throw it on your desktop for now. This is, again, a crash course. I'll go more into the correct way of saving your files when we come into class on Thursday. If you don't get your warning yet, I'll show you where to go. It's just like any other program. So before I tell you, in any other program, you'd go up to File and then Save. Okay. But now that I've done that, did you guys notice anything about our model? Did you guys notice that when the roof walls went up, our walls went up with it? Okay, so similarly, let me see if I can move these really quickly just so it's easier to see for the recording. No, okay, I'm gonna leave that there for now, but I'm gonna zoom in about right here. If I take my roof level up to 30 feet, the walls go with it. And the thing that's great about this is think about if you had to do that in hand drafting or anything else. You'd have to go through all of your exterior elevation sheets, fix each one. You have an interior on the flip side that you'd have to go through. But here, because we did things correctly, and we made sure that we created our levels, that we attached our walls to our levels. We've kind of avoided a lot of that, right? So when we're using Revit, it has all of these wonderful capabilities, but we have to use it the correct way, right? Okay, so we've got our little box. Now, the last thing that I wanted to do in here would be to add a window or a door. So you guys take a look at your screen. Do you see where you would add a window or door? Mm-hmm. Thanks, Brooke. Yeah, so we've got a door menu right here, and hopefully it looks a little familiar. When we click on doors, what door does it want to start drawing? Did everybody get a sliding closet 72 by 84? Okay, so typically when you are in, the residential default, that's your door. How can we look at more doors? Good, the drop-down properties menu. Do you see more doors that would be appropriate for our model here? Which one would you do? Just based on what I've drawn. Yeah, single flush. And how wide have I drawn the door? 36. I haven't told you how tall, right? How tall should we do it? 80 or 84? What do you guys think? There's really not a right or wrong answer. We're just kind of winging it. 84? Okay, we'll go with the higher door. So now that you have that door, you can actually just come in. And the thing that's great is it's going to try to center it for you. You can kind of see it's telling you the centered numbers. And take a look at how I've drawn it on the board. So if you pull your mouse towards the exterior of the door, it flips it out. If you hit your space bar, it reverses the swing, just like it does when you're drawing your wall. So try to get it so that your door is centered and swinging in, just like that. And if you want to add a couple more doors, add a couple more doors. I'll add one here. That's kind of exiting out the back. And then the last thing that I'd ask you to do, this is all on your own, throw in a couple windows. And the windows are totally up to you. Again, please take note. You can see what you're doing be populated in the exterior elevation as well as your 3D view. So it's kind of fun to see that model start to get built. I'm going to have you guys insert whatever window or door you might be putting in. And I want to do one more thing with you guys before we do another quick save. I actually might start Thursday's class in this model one more time. There's a couple more things I want to show you. But because we had such a a crazy start, I might not get to them today, so I'm going to have it just as a backup. Okay. So when you guys are done, go ahead and meet me at the roof plan level. And it's just going to look like a blank level for now. And that's how I'll know you're ready. So I'm going to be watching your screens on my screen. So yeah, just meet me here on the roof plan. Okay, it looks like just about everybody is on there. It's a little hard to see. I think you guys are all there. Okay, so now that we're on our roof plan, remember this is a crash course. I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you in just an hour and 16 minutes. But I think, again, this is a really good overview of what Revit can do. Hang with me. So right now, before we start our roof plan, we need to see the level underneath it. And the way that we do that, over here in our properties bar where it says floor plan, we need to scroll down to where it says underlay. So I'm going to keep my cursor on here. See, it's how it's about halfway through that screen. Right now it says underlay, range base, and then it cuts off. It's supposed to say base level. Does yours say none? Okay, so that means underneath there is no base level that it's referring to. Let's change that to our main level and then hit apply. And then you should see those main level walls ghosted. You might not see your windows or your doors. That's because we're really just looking at it for reference. But this is what we want to start drawing our roof. We're going to do a really quick roof plan. And similar to what we've been doing today, most of it's just going to be out of the box. Like, what would Revit do? Okay. Does anybody need help with their underlay? Oh, you guys got it okay? All right. So I'm going to draw a quick roof. I want you guys to watch me, and then I'm going to undo it and we'll do it together. So first off, where would I go to draw a roof? Do you guys see it? Yep, most of our modeling tools are right up here. Okay, so I've got roof, and what I'm going to do is click on it, and this is going to be different from what we've even done. The way that a roof works is first you essentially draw the outline of the roof. So for example, if I come here, I will be drawing the roof outline just like that, and then if I hit this green check, it's kind of hovering all the way up here. So I will most likely need to lower that roof. So not the most attractive roof, there's no overhang or anything like that, but that's just what Revit does right out of the box. Okay, I'm going to undo that, and then let's do that together and then make some changes. Okay, so go ahead and click the roof button for me. And do you guys see that there is like this, over here we've got our draw panel to make the outline of our roof footprint. Do you see that there's a rectangular one? Go ahead and click on that, and again we're just going to go from one corner to the next corner. And because this is our crash course, I'm not going to spend too much time, but just know that every line that has this little triangle next to it means that it's going to slope. So I'm going to do a little bit of voguing up here. That means we're sloping up from every single point, like this. Each one of those are sloping up. Eventually, we'll have a whole class on roofs, and I'll show you guys how to make some better shapes. But for now, hit the green check button, and you should get out of that menu. And in our 3D view, you can use your mouse, so roller ball up is zoom in, and roller ball down is zoom out. In fact, I'm going to tile my windows again. Let me actually.
What did you hit to get out of there? Place?
There's a big green check box. Let me come back over here. Are you still in like a pink line mode?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see the big green check right here? Finish edit mode? That'll get you out of there. Riley? No, you're fine.
Trapped in something. I hit escape, but it's not letting me
Okay, what does your, actually Riley, I can check. Riley, tell me your last name.
Davis.
Okay, I see ya.
Captain Modify or something.
Let me see. It's not letting me zoom in on you. Let me come take a look.
Sorry.
Let's just see what it looks like. It might still be waiting for you to draw.
Okay.
Yep, so it's waiting for you to draw. I know it's really subtle. Do you see how that's being highlighted?
Yes.
Click on that.
Okay.
Grab your rectangle.
Grab
so
my
you can draw.
Okay.
And then corner to corner.
Corner here.
Yep. And then down to the bottom corner.
Okay.
And then green check. That's it. That's all we're doing for
Got it.
for today. Alright, there you go. Again, not the best looking roof, but within like less than 2 hours, we've designed like this little tiny house. It's got walls, it's got windows, it's got a door, and now it has a roof. Will it be permitted? Probably not, but you know, whatever. So, this is what we have just to kind of get started with. Let's say that, like even right now, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this roof looks like it's way too high. You know, I'll leave that for now. Let's do one other thing while we're here. I have to pick and choose my battles today. I'm going to turn off my main level. And just for you guys, I'm going to tile my windows so that my 3D is the biggest one. Let me show you how to kind of look through your 3D view. So again, with your mouse, this works on floor plan or 3D view. If you push your mouse up, you zoom in. If you roll your mouse down, it zooms out. Okay? So if you're working at home or if you have a laptop or a Surface, whatever, getting a roller ball is really important because it helps you navigate. Okay? If you press your mouse down, tell me what happens to your cursor. You won't see it on my screen, but you'll see it on yours. So press down on your roller ball. What happens? Yeah, is it like a four-headed arrow? That means pan. That means you can move stuff around without zooming in or out. So imagine you have a giant sheet of paper. That's essentially what this model space is that we're working with. That's just taking that paper and moving it around. So even here, I can zoom and pan. Okay, everybody got those okay? Right. Now the last thing that I want to show you as far as navigation, especially in 3D, press your roller ball down for me until you get the four-headed arrow, and then hold the shift key and tell me what happens.
Oh, rotate.
Yeah, then you can start spinning it around. So that's how you can kind of orbit through your model. If you're more comfortable, you can even grab this here. So see how in my upper right corner I have kind of like that navigation box? You can use that to spin your model around too. I'm so used to using my mouse that I typically don't use the box, but either one that you're comfortable with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop for now. That was our crash course. Please save this. So whether it's on, so you can do save as, you can save it on your desktop, your downloads, wherever. Just make sure you save a copy of this. We'll probably spend about another maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of class on Thursday. So I'm going to go ahead and stop our lecture and get that posted. And just so we have a record of it, since my computer crashed, I'm going to remind you guys of the extra credit events really quick. Maybe. Okay, so the first one is tomorrow. There's a barbecue at Sugar House Park from 5:30 to 8. And remember, you can bring your family. You can bring anybody with you. I'm going to try to get these posted on our discussion board, so if people want to meet up, you can meet up tomorrow, again from 5:30 to 8. I will be at this one tomorrow. I'm going to swing by. So if you want extra credit, usually come take a selfie with me or just any photo of the event. And then on Thursday, I'm going to see if I can let you guys sneak out of here a little bit early so you can head up to Workspace Elements. It's really close. It's just up in kind of like the Sugar House area. If you know where Harmon's Brickyard is, it's right there. Okay. And that is it for today.